Okay, I'd like to thank you all for coming out today. It's been 1 year now since the Saskatchewan Wheat Development Commission was formally established by provincial legislation. And in the spirit of making every effort to keep the levy payers, the farmers in general, and the public informed on our activities, we're pleased to hold this information session. So our agenda today has an opportunity for us to introduce our board of directors. And as well, we're going to give you an overview of our strategic plan, which we've recently completed. And we'll also introduce some staff to you. So, and at the end of the program, there'll be an opportunity for some questions and answers. So we have, in addition to myself and our chairman, Bill Gale, we have Ken Razassin here with us today. Ken farms up by Priestville, yeah. And we have Glenn Tate at the back table there, farms around Meota. The other directors on our board include Laura Rader, who farms with her husband up around Radisson, and Dan Danielson, him and his wife Sharon farm up in the Eston area, and Bill Rosher, who farms up around Kindersley. So I'm going to hand it over now to our chairman, Bill Gale, and he's going to talk about our strategic plan.
Well, welcome everybody. Thanks very much for being here. We do plan on making this an annual event here in Regina at the Farm Progress Show. The idea is to give kind of a 6-month update between our AGMs to inform not only the levy payers but people in general of what's been happening at the Saskatchewan Wheat Development Commission. Certainly, it's been a very busy time since January 13th when the elected directors took their spot. And certainly the big part to what we've accomplished to date has been our strategic plan. And I think I'm going to quickly go through it and try to big up some of the highlights. Certainly, we've been very busy. We put in a lot of time over the last while, and we'll discuss some of those things moving forward. So anyways, the strategic plan is we've got a vision and a mission, goals and objectives for research, goals and objectives for market development, represent wheat farmers' interests, and that would be an advocacy role, levy payer engagement and communication, and of course administration. I guess in introducing you to the strategic plan we've worked on over the past month, so we'll begin by reviewing the vision statement, which will be kind of what we hope the organization will look like. And the mission statement, which is really a general understanding of the purpose of the organization. We will proceed to look at the goals and objectives that have been agreed to by the board, and really they're divided into 4 major themes, that being research, market development, communication, and administration. I think it's very important that the board played a very specific attention to the provincial regulations as we developed this plan, and always tried to go back to the regulations to make sure that we were following what indeed we were mandated to do. So the vision, thank you, that wheat is as a stable, sustainable, profitable, and internationally competitive crop, capturing the benefits for Saskatchewan farmers and the community. The mission, to provide leadership in identifying and supporting research and market development that contributes to profitable and sustainable wheat production for Saskatchewan farmers. And as you can see, that comes pretty much right out of the regulation. The strategic plan, goals and objectives for research. So the goal, through yield gains, quality characteristics, and agronomic efficiencies that increase desirable market quality characteristics, thereby maximizing direct financial benefit to Saskatchewan wheat producers. The objective, support, encourage, and expand the potential of publicly and farmer-funded wheat breeding and varietal development. And again, this really comes straight out of our strategic plan. Related activities, we've appointed a person to the Western Grains Research Foundation Board of Directors. We've met with the Saskatchewan Seed Growers Association, Chair Laurie Wakefield and Vice Chair Roy Clem. And we've had various meetings with advocates for funding models, future funding models for varietal development. And of course, that is an ongoing process. Research. The objective is to sustain and advance existing research programs that have demonstrated values. So again, I think there's no doubt that we have to refer back to the Western Grains Research Foundation and the fact that farmers have been funding research over the last close to 30 years and have put in around $80 million and certainly have a very big have had a big part in what's happened in varietal development. And we at the Wheat Commission certainly see that the WGRF is going to continue a role moving forward. So again, some related activities that we've had. We've appointed Director Tate to the Grain Development Committee for wheat, rye, and triticale. We've met with officials from Ag Canada, the Crop Development Centre on more than one occasion, and indeed had them come in and speak to the Board of Directors. We've met briefly with the Alberta Wheat Commission, actually at our AGM, and again, I reiterate, it was very brief. And we certainly do want to continue with that. I've had telephone conversations with Don Dewar, who's the acting chair of the Manitoba Wheat and Barley Association. They're in their formative stages, probably a year or so behind us. It looks like they're going to be going to election sometime in the spring of 2015. And we did do some funding. We funded the provincial variety trials here in Saskatchewan to a tune of $28,500, and I'll refer to that a little bit more in the newsletter. On the research side, the objective is to identify and pursue opportunities for agronomic research. I think it's important to realize that in a lot of cases, agronomic research is sacrificed. Has been over the last few years in funding cuts, and we certainly do want to make sure that that we review that whole area and make sure that we can put some farmer money into agronomy, that we can maximize that area, which I think in a lot of ways has been shortchanged over the few years. So we certainly do want to look into that area. On the research objective side, determine a path towards a producer ownership model for variety development. And so the next two objectives focus on producer ownership of varieties developed resulting from the Wheat Commission investment. And to determine the path is about doing our analysis, becoming knowledgeable of the various models and proposals, and subsequently arriving at a set of principles that are essential to ensuring that levy payers dollars or maximize gains from our investment dollars. So in pursuing this objective, we recognize this is important to collaborate with the other organizations. So the other organizations that come in mind are obviously the Alberta Wheat Commission, the Manitoba Wheat Commission, and obviously, again, working with the WGRF. Research. The objective is to establish collaborating agreements with other provincial wheat commissions and associations. It certainly will be very important that we engage these other funding organizations. We need to work in a cooperative manner. We don't want to double up on research. Research dollars are finite, and we certainly do need to make sure. And I think to a big degree, the WGRF has offered very good leadership in that area over the last while to make sure that levy-paying dollars and indeed taxpayer dollars are put to very good use. And so we really do want to continue down that path. So to determine the allocation of research dollars, the Commission will need to establish guidelines and criteria, and that the research community must address in any research funding submission. It is anticipated that the fundamental principle will be how the research will benefit farmers, producers financially. So related activities, we've got the wheels in motion to have a meeting with the Alberta Wheat Commission and Manitoba Wheat and Barley Association this fall in Winnipeg, hopefully at the Siggy building, and have had some initial talks with Earl Geddes with regards to that, and certainly, again, ongoing meetings with the WGRF. So I think it's interesting that this goes right back to the regulations, which states to encourage communication within the wheat industry. So goals and objectives of the strategic plan with regards to market development, and the goal is to promote Canadian wheat in a way that increases value, marketability, and provides a greater net return to producers. The objectives: for market development, provide leadership and support for the alignment of producers and other value chain interests to maintain and extend the branding of Western Canadian wheat in the international marketplace. Advocate to maintain and retain quality standards, market development tools, and institutions that are serving Saskatchewan farmers effectively. To build alliances with organizations that share or can support the Saskatchewan Wheat Commission's mandate and purpose. So some of the related activities that we've done, as we've got Ken Razausen has been put on the Western Grains Standards Committee. Dan Danielson is on the SIGGI's Producer Advisory Committee. We've met with Earl Geddes actually 2 days ago again in discussing our relationship with the Canadian International Grains Institute. We've appointed Laura Ryder to the Farm and Food Council Board of Directors here in Saskatchewan. Bill Rosher has been appointed onto the Sask Ag Council, the Levy Central part, their directors. And we've sponsored field days here in Saskatchewan around the research communities, IHARF, and the station up around Scott. So those are some of the things that we want to do to make sure that we have a good relationship with some of the local research funding foundations. So the Commission receives many requests for funding in the area of market development, and in the months ahead we will establish the criteria upon which we can assess the value of each request. And I think this is very important. We cannot be all things to all people, and in my view there needs to be a clear path between the request for funding or request to attend a trade mission and the farmer's pocketbook if we are to expend levy dollars in those requests. So in the end, where's the benefit to the farmer? That's what we need to ask ourselves when we get involved in these types of activities. So again, the strategic plan, back to represent farmers' interests and advocacy and advisory. I think it's important that we just go right back to the regulation to advise governments on matters pertaining to wheat policy, research, and development, to gather, compile, and distribute information related to the production, promotion, consumption, market development, and policy initiatives of wheat, and to encourage communication within the wheat industry. And the following goals and objectives are an expression of the board's intention to meet the spirit of these regulations. So the goal on advisory and advocacy, to represent the interests of Saskatchewan wheat producers to governments and the representative agencies or representatives, corporations, and non-governmental organizations. Related activities, we supported option 1 for the changes to the varietal registration in Canada issues an option paper, and option 1 allowed the flexibility inherent in the current system, let it emerge, and make sure that we had merit-based in that. It's very important, certainly in talking with Earl over the last 2 days, that we maintain the quality characteristics of Canadian wheat. It's one thing that the Canadian wheat is sought for worldwide, and so we need to maintain that both in our promotion of our market, but in our plant breeding as well. So a very important activity, and we did that probably within about 3 weeks of us taking over. Communications and member relations. The goal is to communicate to members and the public on a regular basis in an open and transparent manner. And again, I think it's important that we talk about engagement and those types of things. And sometimes those aren't easy things to accomplish from a board to a levy payer base of 18,000 people. And so certainly our website, the newsletter that we have here today, and actually today's activities are one of those things that we're trying to accomplish with. So I think I'll move ahead with some of the related activities. Certainly we're going to have our AGM was at CropSphere this year in January. We intend on going back there again next year. We had a display at the Crop Production Show. We were also at Agrimex in North Battleford, and certainly there's today's event. We published our first newsletter today. Our website, as I'd mentioned, we are in the process. We do have a website. It's very basic right now. I think we really intend on the website to become a very major part of of the Saskatchewan Wheat Development's communication tool, and we do see that we will be expending some dollars in that area, and we would really like to see our newsletter drop from 3 publications a year down to 1, where we announce the AGM. There's very few farmers nowadays that don't have a website or an email address, and most of us indeed carry iPhones and those types of things. So I think it will become and has become a very important part of a farmer's management. I guess I think I want to speak a little bit to our newsletter right now. Rod, is there a newsletter? Yeah. I just want to draw a little bit of particular attention to a couple of the things on it. On page 4, I wanted to just bring everybody's attention to Curtis Posniak, just to make sure that people realize the extent of how well we are represented in the research community, of the expertise that we have in plant breeding. Curtis Posniak is a world-class Durham breeder. There's no question of that. He's young. He's certainly up on all of the new types of technologies that's there, and we want to expand on that. So it's really nice to see that we have a world-class institution in Saskatoon at the Crop Development Centre, and certainly the Spark Centre down in Swift Current at Ag Canada certainly has excellent people and capacity to do some world-class wheat breeding for us. So I think we'll likely in the future try to profile different plant breeders indeed across Western Canada in our newsletters. I think another point that's very important is on page 5. It's the public research dollars 20-to-1 return on investment. And I think there's no question that at the board level, that's always in the back of our mind. A 20-to-1 return on investment is massive. And we do very few things on our farm that gives us a return on investment of that. So certainly we have to be mindful that we're not the only people that realize that there's a 20-to-1 return on investment on variety and in the seed business. So we are mindful of that and certainly want to make sure that we maximize farmers' ability to capture that 20-to-1 return. I think on page 6, again, I think it's a very important article. It's Canada wheat yield gains compare well to the rest of the world. I think there's a lot of misinformation out in the community with regards that we are falling behind somehow in the world of research, and indeed, frankly, the numbers do not actually say that. They actually say the opposite. We're doing very well. We've done very well over the last 70 to 100 years with the breeding institutes that we have, and it's put farmers, we are in very good place. We need to continue that role, and I guess from the Saskatchewan Wheat Development Commission's, how do we indeed make sure that farmers are a big part of that and can maintain those types of outcomes. So I guess the last one, of course, was, I mean, it's all important, but the varietal testing here in Saskatchewan, certainly everybody gets their seed book in the spring where you can actually compare the varieties that have been in the past, that you've grown in the past, to some of the newer ones in the future. And that's an ongoing activity that needs to happen all the time, because all the diseases that we're up against, they evolve as well. So we need to make sure that what we're growing, if the pathogens evolve to a point where that they're attacking our varieties, existing varieties, that we need to know that, okay, we can't grow this anymore. We have to put something into our disease package that we can rectify that problem. So we not only need to know what's coming into the pipeline, how it's going to perform in our fields, but we need to know what's happening with the varieties that we're already growing and are counting on, and making sure that the disease package that is available to us has a continuing value to us. So I think it's a very important activity, and we certainly will plan on carrying on with that. So I guess on the administration side, I think it's important. The WGRF over the last number of years has tried to keep their administration costs to 10%. I guess it certainly was part of the appointed board that they wanted to keep it into that 10-15%, and I think the elected board of directors agrees with that. So we do want to keep our administrative costs very low. Again, looking back to a 21 to return on investment, it's pretty hard. We have to be prudent with those dollars. So I think, again, we always are going back to the regulation because they are the platform for which we develop everything as we move forward. Organizational development: to establish an organizational structure with strong leadership at the board and executive administrative level accountable to Saskatchewan wheat producers and with the flexibility to meet the demands of producers, processors, consumers, whether domestic or international. The term organizational development commonly refers to an organization that is in need of change. And in our case, it is more of a case of developing an entire organizational structure inclusive of staffing, budgeting, policy and procedures development, etc. So again, I'd like to say we're halfway through that process, and maybe we are getting close to that, but we've got a fair bit of work over the next 6 months to accomplish these goals. So some of the related activities that we've done, we currently have, and we've renewed the contract with Levy Central and Agribiz. Agribiz does our finances right now, and we intend on taking that certainly through to the end of our year. We attended the directors attended the Agriculture Council of Saskatchewan board training session, and with the general manager and office manager, development an optimal organizational structure and staffing requirements. So we're 2 people. We're a staff of 2 people right now. Where we take that is certainly going to be part of what we do over the next few months in working with our new general manager. So, and of course, last item was we recruited our office administrator and general manager. So I guess in closing, I think it's important that to date, I think we've, as a board, have not taken a shotgun approach and decided that we have money here, we better get it out into the community. I think we need to make sure that it's planned, what we do, and it always conforms back to our strategic plan, which also goes back to the regulations. So I think that's very important for us. So I guess I would say that the money is coming in right now. We've taken in from levy payers about $4.5 million. And so certainly we need to get we need to get somebody in to make sure that we're investing that money to maximize the benefits that we can get out of it. And again, we want to make sure that the next year and the next funding cycle that we're there and ready and have the structure around where we put our research dollars and indeed market development dollars. So that's what we need to do over the next 6 months. What I would also like to say is I think the government and the appointed board did a very good job in picking a number of 7 people for the board of directors. We're very nimble. We're not 17 people or 18 people, so we don't have committees. And I think it's very important that and the board of directors, we are all involved in all of the decision-making process. And I think that's important because it makes sure that those people that voted, the farmers, those representatives are involved in the decision-making process. And indeed, I would like to hope that we go there. We work on a consensus model, and in most cases, that's where we get to. Not 100% of the time, but we do try to work on that. And again, we're always mindful of the 20-to-1 return of investment. I think that's forefront in our minds at all time. So I think there's no doubt that moving forward, what happens in varietal development is going to play a very, very important part in what we do over the next short while. And I think indeed it's a very important mission that we need to accomplish, as there's certainly the farmers and the future of farming in the province and indeed Western Canada is very much needs to be attended to. And so I think what's very important is that we answer to levy payers, and I think, again, we're mindful of that, and we're here to report to you on that, and we want to continue on that. So I think with that, I don't think I really have anything else to add. It's been a lot of work. The directors, we have just about 100% attendance all the time. We're situated in Saskatoon. I think the farthest any of us have to drive is about 3 hours, maybe 3.5 for Rod. But we're quite nimble, and we want to make sure that farmers are realize that we do take our job extremely serious, and we want to continue with that. And it's all about maximizing things back to our farmer levy payer. So with that, Rod, I'll hand it back to you.
So I did mention at the beginning that we are a creation of provincial legislation, and we've invited the minister's office to come to Senate Representative to say a few words, and we're pleased to say that we have with us today Janice Tranberg, the ADM, and we'll invite Janice up here to give you some perspective from the province's perspective.
Well, thank you, Rod, and it's really my pleasure to be here today to bring greetings to you all from the ministry. So, but first of all, I wanted to congratulate the board of directors who were elected this past winter. It's a big job to commit to a seat on a board, and I applaud you and your willingness to put your name forward to further Saskatchewan's wheat industry. And the Saskatchewan Wheat Development Commission really ushers in a new era for Western Canadian wheat. The Wheat Development Commission, along with the Saskatchewan Barley Development Commission, was established after quite extensive consultations with producers. And this process was led by a steering committee made up of agricultural leaders from the Saskatchewan industry. So producers decided that they wanted these organizations to represent their interests in research, market development, and the promotion of wheat and barley crops, the same advantages that many other crops currently share in this space. So plans for both commissions were reviewed and endorsed by producers at meetings with farm groups across the province. And it took a lot of effort on part of producers to get to this point, and I thank you for your work and for your input. So the next stage is the commission and the operation. And I don't want to scoop the announcement today that I refer to as the best worst kept secret, but I know that you're formally introducing your general manager today. And he's no stranger to agriculture in Saskatchewan. He brings a wealth of experience in his role. And this will be a really great asset to you as you move forward with your work on the commission. So through this commission, wheat producers will have a greater voice and will provide direction for the industry. As you know, global demand for wheat is increasing, and we expect this to continue. So it's important as an industry that we not only stay competitive in our current markets, but we earn our share of new and growing markets. The investment of checkoff dollars into wheat research and innovation will help the cereal crops grow and prosper in Saskatchewan. For too many years, our crops have been shipped out of province, out of country, and supported value-added and economic growth in other countries. So today we have an opportunity to reverse that. We have an opportunity to support more value-added and processing development right here in the province. And the work of the Saskatchewan Wheat Development Commission will play a great role in achieving this and helping Saskatchewan to achieve our goals for our growth plan. And these goals are that by 2020, we will increase crop production by 10 million tons. We'll increase agri-food exports by $5 billion. We'll create more value-added opportunities in Saskatchewan with an objective to increase this by 40% or $6 billion. And we'll make Saskatchewan an international leader in biosciences. So the overarching goal of the targets of the growth plan really are to capitalize on Saskatchewan's advantage, to be a supplier of food and feed and fuel in order to meet our growing global demand for wheat and for Saskatchewan producers. So I'm really pleased to say that Saskatchewan is well underway to meeting these targets. The world wants what Saskatchewan is producing, and this is demonstrated by the third consecutive year of record setting for agricultural exports. Total sales in 2013 were $11.7 billion, well on the way to our growth plan goal of $15 billion by 2020. The top agricultural commodity that Saskatchewan exported was non-durum wheat with sales of $2.1 billion. And durum wheat was also one of our most significant exports, with sales of nearly $1.3 billion in 2013. And our producers actually exceeded our 2020 goals for crop production with a tremendous 2013 harvest. And if we ever get some sunshine, I think we're well on our way to exceeding that again in 2014. So the crop that was produced last year was 38.4 million tons, and that was 40% above the previous year's production. So we know this level of production cannot occur every year, and but it does demonstrate the work that we need to do to continue to achieve these results. And this result is really going to come from a background of research and innovation. And the Saskatchewan Wheat Development Commission will lead to the advancement of this investment through checkoff dollars and opportunities that are important for our wheat producers. So it's an exciting time. And as you may know, Saskatchewan committed $10 million to the support wheat research over the next 5 years. And this $5 million of this wheat research funding goes specifically to the Canadian Wheat Alliance, which is a strategic collaboration between the National Research Council, the Agriculture and Agri-Food Canada, the University of Saskatchewan through the Crop Development Centre, and obviously the Government of Saskatchewan. And it's looking to support and advance research that will improve the profitability of Canadian wheat producers. So this type of investment in wheat, along with the formation of a strong producer-led commission, will bode well for the wheat industry and advance the province's leadership at a national level. So I really welcome the opportunity to work with you as we move along in this journey and to hear more about your work. Thank you.
Thank you, Janice. So if you look at some of the things that Janice said and what Bill said, there's really a gargantuan task ahead of the Wheat Development Commission. And we're going to, at the present time, we're thrusting that on the shoulders of 2 people. We've hired an office administrator as of April 15th, Pat Tremaine. And she's originally from a farm in Manitoba, south of Binscarth, and she attended the University of Manitoba. And she's worked with boards of directors in various organizations and brings a lot of experience to the table, and we're very, very pleased with her. She was down here on Wednesday for our board meeting, but she had to go back to the office in Saskatoon, so she couldn't be with us. But what we do have today is our new general manager. We've been through a hiring process these last few months, advertised the position, and I think we've struck pay dirt. We've in the hiring of Harvey Brooks. Harvey was raised in a mixed farming operation in Rosthern, and Harvey has extensive experience in Western Canadian agriculture. He's served with the Saskatchewan Wheat Pool, the University of Alberta, and the Canadian Wheat Board. And Harvey's a former deputy minister with the Government of Saskatchewan and currently works with the Yukon Territory Government. Harvey and his wife Tracy have 3 grown children with careers deeply rooted in Saskatchewan, and I'm very pleased to have Harvey with us today and invite him up to the microphone now.
Well, thanks very much, Rod. And I know many of the people here today, and also see a number of faces that I haven't seen for 6 years. So I'll be reacquainting myself with a lot of people from Saskatchewan. And I have had an opportunity to work in agriculture at many different levels, whether it's with university researchers, whether it's with the industry, whether it's on the international side, on the consumer or producer side of all those. So coming back into Saskatchewan, into a role like this is quite an opportunity, and I quite look forward to it. The strategic plan is very aggressive in certain areas, and it's very targeted. It'll be my job to try and get us to focus on that with the dollars that are there, as well as find the partnerships that are out there with Sask Ag and Food, so the ministry, and in particular the Ag Development Fund, but also WGRF, Alberta Wheat Commission, and and the Manitoba side as well. And the relationships will be vitally important to our success. So I didn't want to say too much more this morning. I really appreciate the opportunity to be involved at the early stages of the Saskatchewan Wheat Development Commission. There are many times you join an organization and the painting is already done. This time the canvas has largely been framed, let's say, and there's a lot of coloring left to do on it. Make sure that the vision and direction that we paint ultimately is one that is a very bright and prosperous future for Saskatchewan wheat. So thank you very much.
So that's kind of the end of the formal part of the meeting. We're a little bit over time here, but we'd like to move into more of an informal session now and questions and answers. But just before I start that, there is a questionnaire on the table. We'd be happy if you'd help us fill that out, and so we can make plans for future meetings. And for producers in the room who fill out that questionnaire, there's a complimentary T-shirt on your way out the door, and of course on the tables you'll find our copies of our newsletter and press release, and feel free to take that with you. So just if you have any questions now, we'd be happy to respond, either myself or Bill or Harvey or any of the other directors in the room. It's a huge topic area. It's near and dear to my heart, and I think if you'd want to hang around for the next couple hours, we could chit chat about this all day long. There's tremendous opportunities and challenges out there in the wheat industry, and as Janice said, it's a huge part of Saskatchewan's economy, and it's a huge part of our heritage as as grain farmers here in Saskatchewan.